when you have the opportunity to become your inner child adult, that will mean that you do know about the amazing journey of secure attachment, how to keep it, how to earn it, and also healthy self worth, how to keep it, how to earn it, and therefore relationships that are actually conducive to your infinite higher human conscious potential experience. So you will know true love, yes, and it's not a push and pull. And you are always also on. You're not in laundry in the body because you know how to navigate your social engagement system. So, with personal development and self help, people can get themselves there. And even those who have unresolved trauma can get themselves there. Now, if they choose to go with what are going to be called right now Strombolis, that's where Pinocchios with wooden bodies continue to believe in measures that lead them to basically how Dr. Daniel Fox puts it. For those who have maladaptive child strategies, so they have the fucking, the drugging, the drinking, jelloing in relationships because of this hollowness, this dorsal and sympathetic on off, basically to stimulate your dorsal to get back online. People don't understand that there's mechanisms when they're uneducated, that is. So, as he points out, a maladaptive child, the behavior, which can also be adaptive, it's a person who can get better, but they need to want to get out of that shame cycle. They need to want to get out of the consistent relationships that involve, by the way, people who are going to be like Stromboli turning into the angry squirrel from Cusco land. I use these stories right now. So Pinocchio figures it out, but then Pinocchio falls for it again and again and again, right? He goes to the island. And that's what I've noticed. The people who are not their inner child adults, and so they don't get their inner child to become reparented by their own self and notice, oh, wait, I had a household that I did not have healthy self worth given to me. Okay, so what happens when a person does not know true love? They do not know that magic works through them. And that is because they do not actually take their disowned self and say, oh, what's my lens? How am I leading this fearless and bold? Am I being a reckless human being who thinks that the highlight is like a hangover movie? Okay, so when I hear attachment coaches say that secure attachment is boring, they're not only not motivating people to get to their secure attachment, they're also saying a lie. I have secure attachment. I'm always on with love. In fact, romance is only going to be romance if you're a person who consistently shows up for me in safe haven and secure base. That means that when I am sad, my 1 year old, or afraid, you're going to make me laugh, not anything else. You're not going to bring me your attitude. The attitude means you have not taken ownership of your mood, which means to me you don't know how to use your brain. Means to me you're not smart. Means to me you're not stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, and you're not taking self-awareness seriously enough. Otherwise, you'd notice that you don't have to have laundry in here. Okay, so that's where here we like to be healthy self-worth, partners, friends, lovers, all of this. And we will mind our own business because compassionate home means that we share love and respect for each other as we are. So I don't go telling somebody necessarily you're ending up in a re-traumatizing experience with your torture chamber stuff and a lot more. I'm just integrating all of our topics. That's what I do, by the way. Okay, so I integrate topics. If you're a regular viewer and listener, you will know that. You don't have to, though, follow all of it. You'll get lost some places, but then I'll bring you back online. Okay, so the masks of the authentic self is we don't have masks. All my child parts are with me always, and I know how to tend to them with my own solo polyamory journey. Safe haven, secure base. That's because when you know how to regulate your nervous system in gooey, ooey, ooey, you know that lust is gross, as is any of that other stuff that there are people who say is not. And I get it because of understanding the mechanism and mechanics of getting out of self-soothing mechanisms that basically stimulate a dorsal vagal to go online with sympathetic. What I know, though, is that there's a possibility for a person to work their own embodied brain and to get their default mode network to stop activating in pseudo aliveness alone and to move into aliveness. So do you know aliveness? I do, and I know how to share with you when I've seen pseudo aliveness because of all the courses in trauma and attachment that I take. So yeah, I've noticed it with a shamanic teacher that he's in pseudo aliveness. I've noticed it with people who tell me stories as they're living pseudo-lie, traumatized bonding relationships and highlight these individuals who are strombolis. They actively venerate, actually bow down, men, women, you name it. The women become squirrels at times. is what I've noticed, and then they demonize all the people that they will have been with, which is very fascinating to say the least, because if you've been with somebody and then you're demonizing them, well, I'm going to wonder, no, I'm not going to wonder. I'm going to know you don't know about your own childhood and you have not gone to good therapy. And that's why, do you know what self-love is? Yeah, self-love is this, is I'm Maria, I don't change. Here is who I am. You don't have to like me. Friendship, relationship, lovership, it means we walk a path together. That's it. I don't wear a mask. You wear a mask? What is it? Okay, so when you lead relationships with an inner child adult with secure attachment and healthy self-worth, what it means is that you say, this is who I am, and I will accept you for who you are. And then we have friendship, lovership again. Doesn't matter what it is. And this is not hard from here. You can learn how to get here. We have one-to-one mentorship. We have Ask Maria Opinionated Calmness for those who want just an idea, food for thought, because again, I have noticed many people get themselves into situations, the pseudo liveness and the re-traumatization. What I've noticed is people will deflect educational, informative material. So when I share with people that their 1 to 3 year old implicit memory matters, and that the self and other matters, and so that the fact that they get into specific types of scenarios, okay? So again, a person who's only taking YouTube, let's say that, and they're saying, oh, I'm hypervigilant, I'm doing this. That's not you healing. You're using words. Fancy? No. I'm going to notice you're a teenager. That's all you are. You're Cusco. You're another Pinocchio with a wooden body who's going to fall for Stromboli sooner or later because you're not out of anything. You're going to notice the ones who are authentically healing because they're going to say, wow, you want to hear what it looked like when yesterday this thing happened to me where I did that split thinking and it's in my relationship that I'm healing with and that we're doing good together? That's what people who have healthy self-worth, they're working with it and they're moving out of their inner child trauma and they're moving more and more into becoming a person. So for me, I'm a secure attachment, healthy self-worth woman, and what I'm going to share is a couple of stories. And I'm thinking, so when I meet Pinocchios, which there's plenty of them with wooden bodies, they tend to have a Stromboli and more than just one. They also don't notice when there are holistic activities, I do, that are unsafe. Okay, so what you'll notice is the people who choose their self, they will notice this. That's the number one, which is why I am not going to be able always to share all of what I'm thinking because I want to try and keep our episodes also short. And I will mistake my use of words. I will be misunderstood. I will fuck up date, all this. But I will always be able to try and expand or explain at the same time. And grown-ups don't do any of what I will know. And I'm doing this because there's a lot of teenagers out there. They're just grown-ups because of their age, but they know everything. So whenever I get that, I'm more like, yeah, okay, you know everything. And then I know when instead I'm being given good thoughts because they expand what I'm doing. They expand me helping people to be their self in a way that contributes to true spirituality, a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. So I don't support any of those who are Strombolis. And I've been using Balthazar, who's another character from some other story. So Strombolis will look like angry squirrels to people once they awaken to Stromboli being a bad person in their story. For example, there are those who follow therapists who talk to you about archetypes. They create a buttload of stories for you. There are those who follow therapists who promote and support activities that lead you to stay within a specific energy of lust and this visceral, the sympathetic dorsal vagal, which is a really, I'm trying to find words to describe it because gross is the word that comes to my mind. I heard it from Patrick Tianhan as he explained what it looked like for his household as a child, and he used the word gross, and I'm like, I feel uncomfortable because I know that it sounds judgmental towards people that live a push-pull, but it's a gross relationship because lust and this push-pull, the silverback, which is what I've heard women wanting some, and I'm thinking, no. So there are aspects that I can, again, understand because we all grow out of our teenage brain, adolescent brain, meaning how to get out of biochemistries that are part of our makeup. Okay, so I'm just saying organically we all have The social system comes online as adolescents, and then we all go through, men and women, physiologically with the biologies and all the hormones, different types of chemistries. And you'll notice, if you're aware, of what love is versus what it's not. And in time, you see the face. Because anytime I keep thinking back, I'm like, all these teens, they didn't actually learn anything, and they keep on thinking that movies are reality. And they actively continue in this energy. And so now I'm 44, and I see what to me is gross representation of nothing more than Pinocchios with wooden bodies. And then there's people with certificates that are the Strombolis and the donkeys, and they're basically, thanks to being put on the pedestals by those people who want to have the same energy because they all share the same idea that they should be allowed to. So there's this like teenagers who are all upset with the grown-ups thinking they know everything, and then leading though with distorted and immature and inobjective, non-objective. Okay, so here's where why not objective? Well, I mean, that might be the wrong use of the word, but my point is with all the attachment trauma information, how your embodied brain works, the neuroscience, the neurobiology, all of it, and being 44, all I can tell you is less is a gross energy, and so are a lot of other things that people will talk about who don't know what it's like to be in a restorative, embodied, self-aware body. And that's with your integrated brain and the enlightenment soul age group, and basically a 0 1 year old, 2 year old, all yourself, all the parts of you, not charged. There's no plus or minus charges, so we're not demonizing, we're not romanticizing, nobody's saying anything's perfect. We're saying, so like I said, organically growing into a person who knows emotional and mental maturity, and it's something that is just amazing. It's like a blossoming sweet flower, a lotus flower, or the honey, as you savor honey. The lust, gross energy is not even honey. It's more like a sour, sweet chicken. Anyone, and yeah, sure, that's okay, but it's not like honey. Honey is amazing. Sour, sweet is, yeah, it is. And that's my point. Okay, so you will only know of two flavors once you've tried one, and then you're like, I don't want that one at all. Don't bring it near me. Stay away. But it's not flavors. I'm talking our embodied brain. So let me move to our embodiedness, as we're all like a guitar string, as I get described by my different courses on trauma, attachment again. So I'm giving you descriptions of what I've learned. And then I have introception, the sixth sense. And people who have a good relationship with their divine feminine, their divine masculine, they will be able to explain this and share all of these details with you, because they have a capacity to have complete sensations without fear, because I have no of that childhood trauma stuff. I don't have any of insecurities, any charges that came up from my 0 to 16, because that's when we have our basic child parts for secure attachment. They've been, like I said, organically worked through. In fact, when I look to every age group, I don't feel changed. I'm more expanded. And I still remember when I got to the enlightenment soul age group, or there's a moment of after rainbow body, I had another two light body expansions after my rainbow. I know my kundalini awakening when it happened too. And then twin flames, all this great stuff. But I was like, wow, I'm back to myself again. The words that popped into my head was, I'm me again. So that's the part where you will know this if you are here. Not everybody is. So some are not a consistent I am presence, I am consciousness, which is unconditional love. Instead, I've known it my entire life. Jesus gave it to me. God gave it to me. I got it from my home. I got a twin, so I know all about repairing ruptures without a problem. I got disowned. I'm just saying this is where those human components are important. So as your host and as somebody who does one-to-one mentorship, but also we're going to have group mentorship, the lead is for you to be able to be your inner child adult in your relationships. And that's with a secure attachment, healthy self-worth, not the lust energy, not the people who want to stay Pinocchios with wooden bodies, who participate in not only relationships with Stromboli type people, but also activities with the holistic mystics who do not take into consideration getting attachment trauma informed. Any shamanic ritual, any psychedelic, any person who brings to me something that is from 4D plane, I will notice it, because they're highlighting spirituality. They're getting rid of sciences, or they highlight only the Jungian sciences, and they don't have any information on good sciences for human stuff. I do. And I know that any person can move out of their adaptive child, maladaptive child behavior, that any person can work to get out of pseudo aliveness and to move into aliveness, which brings your actual physiological inner and outer well being. So I will not provide half assed measures. And when I see people who have buttloads of certificates, they're not scary to me. But I do not appreciate that they lead with, I'm a Zen master. You're going to have laundry in your body. Oh, look, I have these many titles. You're going to see all people, they must have ubiquitous suffering because it's part of human life. Well, some of us have good relationships with emotions, and you obviously don't know that, and you're obviously not taking it into consideration. And even if the majority, which you don't know because you haven't interviewed all 8 billion people, so, it's making statements of all people must have ubiquitous suffering or all people do not have free will. Anytime you hear the all thing, it's like, okay, you're trying to prove your point. Great, teenager. The ones of us who know, we don't know everything. We don't do stuff like that. All people want to be cut up and whipped into shape and do all this other. Okay, no. All people. So, again, my point is no, not all people, anything. For one. Two, any person, and that's why I'm trying to share, use your inner child to say, okay, all people, nothing. And that is where the people who notice themselves will notice all people, nothing. Okay? And that's a good start. A good start is to notice that when someone, whoever they are, however many titles they may have, that says anything that is bringing you to an extreme, it's not a person who's mature. And of course, they are expert in their field. Like I am an expert on being an inner child adult, on being yourself, on being a human, on having love. You'll hear me talk always about all this stuff, right? So we each are people who have that area that we're going to contribute. In fact, that's the beauty of the consciousness sphere. We are all a piece, a fragment. But the fragments that want to get home to pure consciousness, to their whole self, are the ones who are going to move into human love narrative. They don't have to stick to the human suffering love narrative. Now, there is the path of pain and loss for connecting with the lovely enlightenment soul age group, with the spirit, all that, but you don't have to stay in it. And this is the part of where I've noticed that the ones who have that path, pain and loss, they tend to stay in it because they got people who continue to describe emotions as if they're something that need to be torturous. Now, that's because they feel emotions as torturous. So that means to me, you have a window of tolerance that you can expand to your emotional plane. The only person who can do that is you, as you work with your own default mode network to say, hey, we don't need to scan self and others in this way of me having to wear a mask. I don't need to work hard for love. Love is easy. Love is kind. Love is generous. Love is graceful. Love is compassionate. I am beautiful just the way I am. I'm not needing to disown any part of me. I'm going to shine, and to be fearless and bold means I'm going to grow healthy self-worth relationships. So people who want to share me with the world, people who like to see me happy. Happiness is an important emotion. Ones who don't want to have it, it's because of struggling with it. Fulfillment is a beautiful emotion. All of the emotions are beautiful when you have the capacity to use your body and your mind. So things come up and you work to expand your window of tolerance to a window welcome. And that's why you get to, in time, move to your restorative embodiment self. If you stay within visceral lust type energy, which is that sour sweet that some people think is the highlight, and you don't consistently notice that instead it's in honey, that you're going to feel clear. And FYI, the biochemistry of lust, you're in a visceral stance. You're not going to be in your youth stress. That's a point. You are the only one who can get out of modulated embodied self-experiences and moving consistently more and more and more to your restorative embodied self-life. And that's what we get to do with personal development here for those who want to do emotions and thoughts. Also, we lead our relationships again with our inner child adult, because our inner child stays with us. Once you reparent that inner child, you know that you are being seen and soothed by you, the adult. So you don't get into a teenage stance when somebody calls you a word, a name, or whatever. And you also don't want to be in relationships with Pinocchios with wooden bodies. People who have these lack of visibility on themselves, because see, they're not wanting to be self-aware. we'll talk about that in another episode because that's for, yeah, next one. In the meantime, true love. It's easy, it's kind, it's us with each other. And when we spot Pinocchios with wooden bodies who follow Stromboli around and they think that's highlight, it's a trauma bonding, toxic relationship, and somebody who's not looking themselves clearly in the eye and saying, I can use good therapy and that will get me to inner and outer well being. Relationships are not in any way, shape, or form. Do you want to keep a man? Do you want to keep a woman? They're not the gender stereotypes. There's a lot of limited consciousness expressions out there. I know that they serve the ones who will stay within that human suffering love narrative because the body of every one of you is yours. You get to take ownership. The psych education is out there, and the ones that I learned from, and there's a buttload of these courses, not one person, there's like 20, 50, I don't even know. I'll lose count at a certain point. All I can tell you is they know data. It's not any of the therapists who are unhealed, who still have unhealed trauma, childhood, DID, all of it. I can tell when somebody is, again, a teenager version of themselves. We have some who are in the in-between kind of deal. Their contribution is empowering. At the same time, they still got a teenager going on without their awareness. My teenager, she comes up too, but I'm looking to harness my grown-up and be here consistently as me, saying, okay, you can stand to the side. We don't need to keep on presenting some aspects. It's unnecessary. And then I was thinking of another group of people, but I lost them. So you'll know who wears a mask if you're a authentic self because their body will tell it to you. I can immediately tell when I'm around an expanding piece of consciousness is amazing. There's no comparison to honey. And again, this isn't even all inclusive. When you're with a person who is a healthy self-worth, in this case, a man, they know who they are, they love who they are, they love life, they're interested, they're intrigued, they're just ready. That's the inner child adult. It's a very different energy from a person whose activities are involving high-risk behavior. They want to, again, participate in what is completely not, yeah, I'm trying to think of a word. So let's just put it this way. That lustful makes me think of dark dungeons and volcanoes and everything that is in that plane of what they will talk about, the 4D plane. But I don't like to use those words. Okay, love, compassion, true partnership, true love is not any of that. It's more like a cozy cotton ball in a very, that perfect temperature, but I don't like cold. So we're going to say lukewarm for anyone who understands how the body's ideal temperature, and without making it into anything picky, because obviously that's the part of sensations and why everything's a subjective experience. And what I'm trying to compare, though, for you is that one aspect is cozy, and in fact makes me think of a child who's being given a cozy environment, like when you see those baby pictures and those little, that's what an inner child adult, when you are connected to the rest and rejuvenate your mammalian heritage. The reason it came about, as Stephen Porges describes, and that's why he wanted to write a book about what love is, and it's not the visceral lust stuff. It's not true that you will always have to go through a process of suffering when there's a breakup, in a way of being addicted to a person, FYI. But that's only if you're the owner of your brain, which again, if you take yourself seriously, come on over, because I can totally get you there. I've been the owner of my brain my entire life because that's exactly where I can tell you all about my differentiated 3-year-old. And I'm lucky because I got a mom who let me be myself. And so with Twin Flames, all these people saying they're addicted. I'm like, I was not addicted. Was it? And is it something beautiful? Yeah. It was not confusing. No, because we're choice points. It was not. I have 3 Twin Flames, and I remember every time, all 3 of them, how it came about. And, it just kept getting more and more amazing. And that's where polyamory came into the mix, and, the whole moving beyond the concept of one and love. And I knew every step of the way that I was leading myself to exactly where I wanted to be, because I love to love. And I knew that I would be learning about myself. They can learn about themselves. That's not my business. It's their business. What I can say is that even in the most interesting of the telepathic things, because Twin Flames, you will not be able to be mistaken with what and who they've created a shit show about it. But let me put that aside. I just can say one thing. every time I learn something new, when I look back, I like that's fucking hilarious. I can't even believe how can you, share. I haven't shared with a lot of people at all because of this part of it's if it's a mystic, that's cool. But if it's somebody who doesn't have the experiences, they will make it into a circus. It's not a movie. It's not that. But I'm just gonna say it's for a person who owns their brain, all I knew was, wow, this is amazing. And today I have, thank goodness, the sciences behind relational field and our entrainment, I believe is the word that our lovely Daniel Siegel uses, and how we're all an energy because we're all a cord. So yeah, I totally know those who are open to expanding from my oversoul and overall the entire collective as well as infinity and beyond, you name it. I mean, it's an amazing journey for 5D mystics because we're not looking at it as a special gift. It's not. The minute I got clairs, there were two things that crossed my mind. This is amazing. This is going to be fun. I'm sure, the panic attacks were the worst part of it, and that's where it's settling in. So it's okay. The fear is the least, the lesser of two evils, because I actually do know what this means. I won't explain it right now. So I'm okay. I'm okay being a scaredy cat. I have a good relationship with all my emotions, and so it's okay. But what I was trying to get to is, and now I lost my train of thought. All I can tell you is it's not dark night of soul or ego death. It's bullshit. And you don't get addicted to your twin flame or flames. That's bullshit too. It's called limerence, and people who don't know how to get their 1 year old, and any person that brought to me their twin flame, and I said, look, you're not being owned by them. Don't you come from a special star? You told me you came from a special star, right? No, no, no. Okay, look, your thoughts. You can shut up the mouth, your feelings. You can warm up your heart. I don't know what you're doing. And they all reminded me of Teenager Land because that was the only time that I saw drama kings and queens and made, like, what is this? And then I just grew up and I'm like, wow, these people don't know how to be on their own. What is the deal? They don't know how to love on their own. They don't know how to be happy on their own. They don't know how to do anything on their own. Why is this so hard? And as an attachment trauma informed person, I can share with you, people want the 1 year old to attach. Some of us don't. We're enjoying you. It's two different things. So if I'm enjoying you, but you're not enjoying me, I know how to say, okay, I want you to be happy. It's called compersion. That's because of healthy self worth. So I'm not going to keep a man. Anytime they have said to me, you lost someone, really? I didn't lose no one. You didn't negotiate. I don't negotiate my life with anyone. It's called solo poly for a reason. I'm not couple centric for a reason. I'm a 3 year old. Inner child adults, we know what we want in life and we will share, but it's more of on a high. If you don't know how to stay on a high, I'm going to be walking with honey and I'm going to be flying. You, in the meantime, are going to be in the behind because that energy is sticky and stays down and doesn't know how to get younger. It's beautiful to be in healthy self-worth. All I'm going to say is if it's not boring. Whenever I hear those people say secure attachment is boring, I'm like, yeah, you don't know secure attachment at all. But you also don't know differentiation of self, your 1 year old, your 3 year old, you don't know any of it. And so with that being said, you can learn all about it and more, but that's with doing emotions and thoughts. And so the number one thing is I don't use my temporal junction, which is why I don't know suffering. And people have said, you don't know it, so you can't talk about it. I say, you're right. I can't talk about it, but I can talk about how you can get out of it because I know about the trauma and attachment information. And I can say also, there are those who won't want to get out of it, and there's a Zen master for you who tells you all about laundry. But I know that there are those who want to be out of those wooden Pinocchio bodies. And they also want to stop falling for Stromboli because they're all going to good therapy. And they're all looking for relationships with healthy self-worth, men, women, days, who don't do. Let's demonize things. Let's romanticize things. Let's put people on pedestals. Let's put people down. Those are all energies of people who know everything. You know how boring it is when people think they know everything? It's not true. So, intellectually and emotionally mastery people, we like to have fun with inner child adults. Tune in for more and join us for more. We're going to have another episode later on. Thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. You can reach out if you're interested in one-to-one mentorship. We are going to have a masterclass come up at some point, and remember that Ask Maria for now is only available on our audio podcast versions. It's opinionated columnist episodes. for those of you who don't want a journey, but you do look forward to getting some food for thought for situations that you're experiencing with your own personal development, self-help, with your own relationships, because we integrate both, since our expansion and inner growth gets to be done within us, but with others. It's a true spirituality journey. So some of you might be interested in that with me as well. Spirituality, awakening guidance. Others of you simply focusing on the human aspects, but knowing that you have a 5D mystic. And so I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a tarot reader. I'm an Akashic record reader. I'm going to be moving into adding a life coach and meditation. And I don't want to use all those words, but I'm sharing with you who I am, because I want you to remember we have theologians who are talking to you about Reiki being a bad energy. They don't think tarot is a good energy either. So I want to be respectful as much as I can and be understanding of the differences. So you get to know who your host is. Host means you get to come and consume free content, but if you want to do one-to-one, you get to make a conscious choice. And see, this is the last note I'm going to give you. When you accept who you are, like I just did, you may say it a bit like a teenager. You may do, because that's the practice. You get to practice saying, here's who I am. And your oversoul is what gets you to practice it. This is who I am. If you don't like it, there's a door. I thank you for your time. You've been a pleasure. But I'm not changing who I am. And when people have said to me, in my 44 years, I've been told it more than once. And anytime it's happened, I'm like, you obviously don't know me. If you knew me, you wouldn't come out and speak shit like that from your mouth. But you know what I've also found out is that people, they're older, they think they're badass, and they don't know how to tell you that they're making fun of you. You have to find it out, and that's another story. But I laugh. People think that I take it personally. I say, no, I'm not taking it personally. I'm making it a point to say that grown human beings who want to act like they're badass, they do things, they tease, and they don't even know how to tell you to your face, hey, guess what? I'm teasing you. That's just, to me, humorous, because friendship and relationships are all about being completely authentic. And that's still because I don't have a sensitive ego. And I did learn that there are people that do, but I say, I'm going to be me. I'm not going to have relationships with people who have the need for facades. If people don't know how to have fun, then we're not going to be that close, because I don't want to be bored in life because you don't know how to be a person who owns your flaws and imperfections. I have them too. We're going to have fun in life with our flaws, with our imperfections. That's what life is all about. So let's lead our relationships with inner child adults. It's not what life is all about, but my point is none of us have perfection, nor is the world. That's why secure base and safe haven are important. And the world is a place that is uncertain, as is life. And that's why we want people who know how to hug our 1-year-old and be in gooey, ooey, ooey, not the ones who turn on and off, and don't know how to stay. They run out of steam, and then they allow their moods to throw. They throw their moods at you. People who don't take self-awareness, accountability, or regulation. They have room for more of that kind of relationship of the people who are low self-esteem, indirect communicators, passive aggressive. They don't know boundaries, and they think they do, and they end up with strombolies again and again and again. And that's where it is what it is. True love is not anything hard or mean. Nope. True love is where you talk to each other. You can have disagreements. You fight about it. This is the part. You have differences, but you come together always. That's what true love is and has always been. And embodying it is part of the journey. The only ones who say it's not are the same ones who don't know how to embody forgiveness. They don't know how to embody pure consciousness, and yet they think they can because they got some magical wand going on. To be continued. Again, thank you for stopping by. We'll be back again with more.